I'm Brianna Harrison, Dr. Brianna Harrison, what they call me now. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, born and raised right here on the South Side. I have my PhD in American history, and as an educator, I teach all sorts of subjects dealing with the social studies, history, African American history, economics, and government.
Okay, so without embarrassing him too much, let's see, Dr. Brianna Harrison and Mrs. Watson, elementary. Is that this Mrs. Watson? Some Mrs. Watson. Which Mrs. Watson is this? Not sure, but somebody's going to help us on our trailblazers with the video past and present. So, Brother Peck, maybe you can help us get into this, and somebody else can take some pictures.
You all know Reverend Freddie Glenn? Anybody know? That's my grandfather. That's my grandfather. Yeah. So I remember coming up here with him to go to church and stuff like that. But yeah, I do have some family that is connected to Jefferson County. So I'm glad to be here and help you all celebrate this beautiful program.
And once again, I'm Sylvester Peck Sr. I'm 1978 graduate of Jefferson County High School, and my wife is back there, Evelyn Graham Peck. As the presiders are so indicated that they're classmates, and she's my wife. We've been married for 38 years. And so, we're here to share with you some information. The video itself will be online and will be available for you. As historians, what we do is we read a lot, we dig a lot. We're not smart people, but we're just people who read a lot. And so we share the information, what we find, and the video presentation itself, when you get it, which will be available on YouTube, is going to outline the history of public officials first in Jefferson County. And if we would, we could probably read through some of these very quickly, and I'll defer to you. And this is from 1867 to 2026.
Right. So immediately after the Civil War, we see African Americans in Florida serving in political capacities. It begins with Robert Meacham in 1867, 1868. He was the voter registrar, registering people to vote. And just a little bit about him: he was born a slave in Quincy. His slave master was also his father, but during those days, you took the status of your mother. So if your mother was enslaved, you were a slave. If your mother was free, you would be free. Nonetheless, Robert Meacham was born a slave. He ended up buying his freedom. He also purchased the freedom of his mother. And he actually helped write the new Constitution of Florida in 1868. So this is a very, very important guy. Daniel M. Pembroke, another voter registrar in 1866. We have a clerk as Robert Meacham again. He served in various capacities. I also believe he was the superintendent of schools for, 1868, 1872, 1873 to 1877. Robert Meacham is the superintendent of schools.
Okay, she left me out there. Go ahead. Do the sheriff.
The sheriff?
Yeah.
Go back up to the Sheriff Lafayette M.B. McCray, 1876. George W. Monroe, 1876, 1877. Tax assessor William Rowland Long. Tax collector Lewis Howell. Again, guys, these are all African American leaders immediately after the Civil War, serving in these different capacities.
Yep. And I think Lewis Howell is, from my research, the longest serving tax collector, I think, in the history of Jefferson County. Okay, treasurer is John A. Potter, 1874 to 1876. Superintendent of two schools, as she mentioned, was Robert Meacham. Now, the name Robert Meacham is probably one of the most powerful and hardest working public servants in the state of Florida. Anybody here members of Bethel AME Church in Monticello? Member of Bethel AME Church. Well, Robert Meacham built Bethel AME Church in Jefferson County. Okay. Anybody went to Howard Academy? Went to Howard Academy. Okay. Robert Meacham started Howard Academy in Bethel AME Church on York Street on October 22nd, 1866. Okay. And some names you mentioned, I'll mention these just because it's not written here. There were three teachers in Howard Academy at the time. Robert Meacham was one. There was Martha Sickles from New York City. And so she was a teacher along with Daniel M. Pembroke. He was a member of the United States Colored Troop in Jefferson. They mustered out in Jefferson County, but he was from Maryland. And for those of you who love history, I have to say, and as an art teacher, Daniel Pembroke had the best handwriting I have ever seen. If you want to see his handwriting, you go to the courthouse and look at some of the historical records, the court records there, and you will see his name on things, and look at the handwriting. You will be amazed. Even I can do that, and I feel like I have a decent handwriting. But going down to this is school board. Like we do have these things coming in, but like with the crash we had, I had to pull stuff back as quickly as possible. School board members: Elizabeth Hall, Shirley Alexander Washington, Sandra Saunders, and Sister Dickie. Where are you? She's current.
I was wondering what happened to the first name.
Willie, right, and so when you see the video, all of these things, and also I guess we'll continue on with the handout too, because this is a good resource for you to have in knowing the history itself. Now, this next group, you want to do the county commissioners, and I'll go through because I'll add blurbs to that.
Okay, yeah, so we have Anthony Bellamy, Benjamin Franklin Dilworth Sr., William Ryle Long, John Mays, Anthony Mills, Charles Paris Sr., Daniel M. Pembroke again, Joseph Taylor, Hampton Williams, also kind of referred to as Hamilton, I've seen
Right,
that. Yeah. Clifford Brown and Eugene Hall as county commissioners.
As an educator, one of my main goals is basically to expose students to history and the skills that come from it, so critical thinking, writing, and oral communication. Was that stuff that I think that we use throughout daily life, and you never really stop having to think and having to communicate, whether that's written or verbally. So I think my role as an educator is definitely to use history as a way to expose those skills. Now in terms of African American history, that takes on a very special place in my role as an educator, especially considering all the attacks coming from the different southern state governments and even national politicians who don't see the value in African American history. So I think my role there is definitely do what I can in the classroom to expose students to it, and even to the community. Right. The program from Saturday was great. I went into it knowing that it would be a special program just based on the framework that the committee approached it with and the amount of detail and energy that everybody put into it. But being there was, it kind of took it up a notch for me to see that all the seats were taken. There was young, old, in between. There were a lot of diversity in the crowd. Even some people who aren't African American were there. So I was very, very impressed at the turnout. And I think that goes to show how excited people are about Black history. And that is, even though we're being attacked from all these different angles politically, and even within the education system, that there is still a desire to organize around Black history and to make sure that it's being carried on throughout the generations. So I was very, very excited and impressed with how the program turned out. Something that really drew my attention during the program on Saturday was the level of student involvement from the local students, the dancing and the singing, and it really does show that this stuff is still being passed down from generation to generation. And once those kids get older, they'll be tasked with passing that knowledge that they learned on to their children and the children that they'll be able to interact with in their given communities. But it was very, very impressive and very heartwarming to see that young people are still engaged in such a critical subject as Black history in our overall experience as African Americans.